That we're pleased to welcome Dan Nelson to the show. Hello, Dan.
Hi, guys. Happy Pi Day. Thanks for having me along.
That's right. Happy Pi Day.
Happy Pi Day.
3.14 to you, too.
That's right. Thank you, Dan, for joining us. Well, you know, your article was a good one that we ran earlier this week, and you talk about comparing registration to ISO 9001 to spoiled milk. That's kind of an interesting analogy. I wondered what made you think of that, and what does it mean?
Well, sometimes it's hard to see the humor in a situation when you're so close to it, and people who are in the grind that they've come to can't quite see the humor in it, so you have to back out a little sometimes and put it in context to where you can actually laugh at it, and at that point I think you even understand the problem a little better. So I guess the analogy means we need to throw out the rotten milk and replace it with something healthy.
And I think what you're referring to by rotten milk is not so much ISO 9000, but the way it's implemented in some companies, right?
Right, and it was a snowball effect. Some companies early on got certified by using a standard-based approach. That is, they developed their quality management system around the requirements of the standard instead of recognizing the system that's already operating to put out quality product every day. So with this idea that they're supposed to raise systems to meet the requirements of ISO 9000, it spoils the whole experience, and it doesn't result in an effective quality management system. So it's time to throw out that spoiled milk and replace.
Did we lose Dan?
On quality management.
Okay.
So Dan, we lost a little bit of you there, but I think I got what you were saying, that this idea that you know there's a better way of doing this, and you know you're a process-based guy, and the usual way that organizations register and are audited to a standard like ISO 9001, it can be considered a process, and many people would say, well, it works just fine. So why do you think we need to reinvent it?
Well, I don't think we need to reinvent it. We just need to improve it to the point where it's effective. Standard-based systems really shouldn't pass ISO 9001 certification. They do just as easily as process-based systems. Well, the standard requires a process approach, and a standard-based approach doesn't demonstrate the process approach as required. So it's like we have a go, no-go cage that's stuck on go. And so the standard, when it's applied properly, should kick out systems that don't meet requirements, yet here systems that don't meet requirements are passed just as quickly as those who do.
Well, you know, I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of people are still confused about the basic intent of ISO 9001. It's pretty common. We hear it. The prevailing opinion often seems to be that the standard exists to help companies design or implement procedures to manage their quality, but that's not really the point of ISO 9001, is it?
No. The idea that it should be implemented came along with the idea to get certified, and people got the idea, well, the objective is to get certified. And so, as I said, they developed systems to answer the individual requirements of ISO 9001 as if ISO 9001 itself was supposed to be implemented by management in their organization. But ISO 9001 is supposed to be implemented or put into use by auditors when they use it as audit criteria. So the standard presupposes quality management, or a quality management system was in place before the standard is applied to it. When we allow the standard to identify or to define our systems, we put the cart before the horse.
And so essentially what you're saying here is, I think, that the standard exists for assessors, auditors, to look at it and assess whether or not management is in fact managing their company properly. It doesn't exist so that management can follow a kind of a prescripted series of steps and say, this is the way that you implement quality in your company. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's fair. I think that's just right. I don't know what really to add to that. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Mike.
Well, do you think some of the confusion comes from the fact that users think that a QMS and ISO 9001 are the same? Because I mean, I often heard this. Matter of fact, I think we've even put it that way in some of our articles. You know, your ISO 9001 QMS. Right. I mean, is that kind of smooshing terms together?
I think so. They're two different things. The quality management system is the important thing to any organization. That system was in place before ISO 9000 ever came along. But when ISO 9000 came along to require documented procedures, people chose to document their procedures according to the standard and its subclauses and its clauses instead of documenting the system as it sits and operates every day. And that confounds the definition of the system to where it's not even a management system. A quality management system actually outputs product. So a process-based, to document that system with a process approach, you would dedicate your procedures to the processes. The procedure serves as the plan for each of the processes. There's a way management wants it done. And when we define the way we want it done according to the individual requirements of ISO 9001, we don't succeed in describing how we want it done. We only succeed in describing how we conform to individual requirements of the standard. So basically, what happens is an understanding of ISO 9001 serves also as an understanding of quality management. And so that forces everyone to look at quality management through an ISO 9000 checklist instead of looking at the system for what it is.
Right, and the trap that you fall into there, if I understand it properly, is, again, getting back to your spoiled milk analogy, that people do it the way that they think it's supposed to be done, and they need to experience that for themselves, even though, you know, people say, it stinks the way that we've had to do this, but it worked, we got certified. So I think what I'm hearing is that it's this thing that we talk about a lot, that people look at ISO 9001 and they say, well, I need the cert on the wall, as opposed to understanding that the value of it comes from the process you go through to enrich and improve your company. Is that fair to say?
I think that's right too, yeah. The value of the quality management system is being clear about how processing is supposed to occur, so that you can check to first make sure it's done that way, and second, to improve that process, improve that plan by application of the Do Check Act moments of the PDA cycle. If you don't define your process, your plan for processing up front, it's awful hard to improve upon that plan if it was never defined in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Well, you know, thanks, Dan. You know, you've been one of our very popular newest additions to our stable of authors. I thank you for joining us today. We definitely want to have you back. We're looking forward to a lot more articles from you coming forward in the next few months. So thank you again for joining us today, Dan.
Thank you for having me, guys. Have a good rest of your Pi Day.
You too.
You too, Dan.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Good stuff there from Dan. Yeah, enjoy that. He's got a really interesting perspective on ISO 9001. I think you heard some of it there.
And very realistic and down to earth.
Yeah, I think it's practical. I think you guys should all check him out there.